I think there was a part of every single one of us who thought coming into this game that this was a possible outcome because we'd already seen it happen, before this year against St. Louis. I think we all in our hearts thought that this was a possible outcome, what happened tonight. But I think we pushed all of that down because we really, really wanted this team to have finally found something. But at the end of the day, this is the same team they've been. And this is who they are. And we got to learn to live with that. Hey y'all, I'm Chris. This is the SaberCast, and we're back again to talk about a very, very disappointing day in what has been a very disappointing season. But I think of all the disappointing days thus far this year, this one takes the cake. Because the Sabres, once again, coming in, all the momentum in the world, coming off their best game of the season against Edmonton, there was no reason for them to drop this game against Calgary. The problem is that the players also believed there was no reason for them to drop this game against Calgary. And as I said in the preview video, at the end of that video, I said, we cannot treat this game as if they are not better than us. We have to treat them the same way we treated Edmonton. We have to do that because it's the only way you're going to achieve what we've talked about, which is full consistency. But it was very clear from that first power play, even a little bit before that, the Sabres were expecting things to be easy. And they got frustrated when things didn't go their way, especially that first power play. They were frustrated. They came to the bench. They're slamming the door. They're talking out there. They're not happy. They're frustrated. Why? I mean, obviously the power play is not successful, but why are you frustrated? You have a whole 55 minutes to go after that. You're frustrated because you thought it was going to be easy. You thought this team, this Calgary Flames team, was going to lay down for you guys. But I have something to tell you guys. You might think that these teams, Calgary, St. Louis, you might think that these teams are worse than you. And you might think that they're your get-right game or they're your free points games. Well, you know what, Buffalo Sabres? You know what, all you players out there? Every single team in this league looks at you and they think you are that team. You are that team that is the easy points. Even Calgary looks at you and they think you're that team that's the easy points because that's how you play. You have deserved and earned that reputation every single step of the way over the last few seasons. With this core that's in there now, you can't talk about the players who aren't here, but the players who have been here, you've earned that reputation, and that is your reputation. So to come out in a game like this against Calgary and think, oh, we can just skate and score goals. We don't have to work hard. We don't have to back check. We don't have to we don't have to gum up the neutral zone the way we've done against every single team that we've actually woken up to play against that has been better than us. To think we don't need to do that against a team like Calgary just because they're lower than us in the standings is absolute hogwash, considering how absolutely terrible this team has been in these situations and how everyone in the league looks at this team, this organization, as an absolute joke. And you guys are going to come out and you're going to take a team like this not seriously because you think you're that much better than them? You're the only team in the Eastern Conference who is not at 500 right now. You are the only team. And you think you're so much better that you can just come out and not respect your opponent, not respect anything, and not put in the work, and you expect to get a result? That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. And the fact that you're willing to just come out and admit it in the post-game press conference, that says everything. You can just say that because there's no accountability. Everyone saw it. It's on full display. Just ridiculous. So I wanted to say that first because I'm really fired up about this. I slept on it, but I'm still frustrated. I thought I'd be able to do this without getting frustrated, but I start talking about it and I just go because this is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. And the sad thing is nobody's surprised, at least among the fans. Maybe the players are surprised they didn't decide to come out and give an effort, but the fans aren't. We've lived this thing since the beginning of this drought. At least at the beginning of the drought, you had players who cared. But since this, I guess, the second rebuild in this drought, these guys they've brought in have not developed at all. They have childlike mentalities. They are entitled. They think we're just going to go out because we're so talented. We've always been told our whole careers how talented we are. Bunch of first-round picks, bunch of guys who are always the all-stars on their team. We never had to work for anything. It was always given to us. We don't have to work. Whenever they're actually challenged by a team that wants to actually, I don't know, play hockey, they fold like a cheap suit. Like, it's ridiculous. And I think we're done with it. I think we're tired of it. Look, and if it's the players or the coach can't get them fired up, then whatever. Get rid of the coach. The general manager's brought all these guys in. Get rid of the general manager. I don't know. It's frustrating. We're tired. All of us Sabres fans are tired of this. We've been doing this for so long. And we try. Some of us have given up, totally, and I don't blame anyone who's given up. But those of us who are still here and actually trying to maintain a positive, well, maybe they can do this. Maybe they can do that. And for the team to just come out and just crap all over that, like, I what can you do, right? Just get up the next day and keep going, I guess. That's what we've had to do for 14 years. That's what we're going to continue to do because we're fans of this team for some reason. All right, let's talk about the game. This was not fun, all right? You thought coming in, right, that the Sabres were going to find a way to win this game. They needed to win this game. Everything is there. They can climb back into the Atlantic Division. A lot of teams were off last night. They could have tightened up the standings if they went out and they won, but that never occurs to them. They think they're just going to walk in and win. So anyway, this game starts, right? And it starts, pretty neutral, right? It like a lot of the games do. Teams are going up and down, taking chances. The Sabres look okay. They're skating. They were certainly skating early for what that's worth. I wasn't unhappy with their skating, but I was not very happy with their positioning and the way they were. There was no attention to detail. Even early, you could see the issues. And then they go on the power play, and they have a really bad first power play. And if you go back and you watch the Edmonton power plays versus the power plays we had tonight, the 3 power plays we had tonight, the one thing I will point out right away, tonight, there was no movement. The Sabres did not move at all on the power play. Everyone was stationary in the circles. Nobody exchanged. Nobody moved around. If you go back and watch Edmonton and even the games before Edmonton, Detroit, even Colorado, there's more movement on the power play. I talked about it. I talked about how it was impressive. I thought even though they hadn't scored, they're moving in the right direction because there was more movement. They were seeming to work that in. And then tonight, they think they can just stand in the circles and fire away. Well, they couldn't even get the puck set up on the first power play, so obviously they're frustrated. But it's too much frustration for one bad power play early in a game. It's like they thought in their minds they'd just be able to walk out there and Calgary would lay down for them because of all the circumstances. Yes, second game of a back-to-back. Yes, they're the worst team in the league. Well, they didn't just lay down. And 6 minutes in, or 5:58 in, Rasmus Andersson would give the Flames a lead. And this is a situation, this is a play where, honestly, it's just a terrible rebound. But not just that, not only is it a bad rebound. So Colten Ellis getting So this is a play where it's really just, a lot has to go wrong on this play, but a lot of it is avoidable, right? So Colten Ellis, who, he's actually earned this start, I would say. He's earned the chance to be the guy, right? So he comes in tonight on the heels of a really nice game against Edmonton, stopped 32 of 33, and so he's in net. And so the Flames are going to get a shot from the point. Ellis gives up kind of a soft rebound, honestly, but, Samuelsson's there. There's a lot of space, but nobody's able to get their stick on the puck. The puck continues to sit there. And Rasmus Andersson comes in. The puck continues to sit there, kind of in the slot, off the rebound. The puck gets shuffled to a crashing Rasmus Andersson, who nobody picked up, and he puts it in the back of the net. Greenway just kind of let him go towards the net as well. Nobody picks Rasmus Andersson up. He finds the rebound, and it is a 1-0 Calgary lead. And from that point on, in the immediate aftermath of that, the Sabres, they dropped their heads, and they really, really struggled. This period would end. Calgary would have 11 shots to Buffalo's 5. Outside of the first 5 minutes, up until that first goal, it had been a pretty even game. Buffalo was clearly frustrated, but after Calgary scored, you could feel the dip and the drop And the Flames kept coming. And 12:04 gone in the first period, they would get their second goal of the night as Nazem Kadri would throw the puck in front, and Joel Farabee would tip it in front of Ellis to make it a 2-0 lead. And this is another goal in front of the net. You have Power and Bryson out there defensively, and Isaac Rosén, and nobody, absolutely nobody, takes Farabee. So you have a situation here where Kadri is working it around the zone. He gets it behind the net. So Kadri walks around, and Bryson detaches from the center where Farabee is, and so does Rosén. He detaches from the center a little bit, and that gives Farabee just enough space to be open to do something with it and put it in the back of the net. So 2-0 Calgary. At that point, we all were worried a little bit, but the good thing there was that the Sabres then started to go a little bit. They started to drive play, and they got a goal. Or so we thought. Rasmus Dahlin was able to take a shot and put one past the Flames. Rasmus Dahlin was able to take a quick shot and put it past So puck found its way to Rasmus Dahlin. He was able to take a quick shot, and he put it past Cooley to make the game 2-1, or so it seemed. But in reality, they ruled that Tage Thompson had interfered with the goaltender. He did touch him and run into him, but he had disengaged by the time the shot was fired. But the refs ruled that he hadn't disengaged, I guess, for long enough. Kind of a questionable one there. Although my first initial thought when I saw the replay was that they were going to overturn it. I hate that they were going to overturn it, but just they call that goaltender interference so strictly that even the least bit of interference, and if it is a bang-bang play, even if the goalie has time to get set a little bit, they're going to wave that goal off. And they did in that instance, although I don't believe it was the correct call. But there you are. So Calgary finishes that first period out-shooting the Sabres 11-5 and up 2-0. What a disappointment. What an absolute disappointment of a start the Sabres gave us there. Again, they thought it was going to be easy. They thought they would come out and they would just roll over Calgary, and that would be that. But now that it was tough, the Sabres got going a little bit. In the second period, the Sabres would outshoot Calgary 12-10, and they would find 2 goals to equalize the game. The first of them would be brought on by known sniper Mattias Samuelsson, who would pick up his 4th goal of the season. And this was just a play where Beck Malenstein actually does a lot to make this happen. So puck comes out of the zone. Beck Malenstein does a little chip and chase. He chips it and he chases it. And he's coming in to lay the hit out on the Flames. The Flames defender just kind of throw it back up ice. And Samuelsson is there and he throws it on net. And it gets past Cooley to cut the lead in half to 2-1. And this was a goal when I saw it, I was like, well, it's really a soft goal on Cooley's part. It's a bad defensive play on the Flames' part, and it's a really soft give up by Cooley. And I thought when I saw this, I was like, that goal that Dahlin should have scored before, that just looked like a normal save attempt based on this Samuelsson shot. So I think based on this Samuelsson goal, as easy as it was to get it past Cooley, they should have retroactively awarded Dahlin his goal because Cooley didn't look very good on that one. And he didn't look very good on the next one either, which would be Tage Thompson scoring at 15:57 of the second period. So this is another dump play. Doan and Samuelsson dump it down low. Dahlin gets it, throws it to Samuelsson, who puts it back to Tage Thompson at the point, who's able to fire it from the point past Cooley to tie the game at 2. Just an electric shot there by Tage Thompson. And that's what he does very, very well. He has a great shot, and that was his 10th of the year. To tie the game at 2. So now you think, right, the Sabres had a better period in that second period. They outshot Calgary 12-10. They've tied the game at 2. And, it's going to be the Flames' 6th period of hockey in less than 24 hours. You have all the momentum in the world. It's going to be easy. Well, the problem is every time we think it's going to be easy, the Sabres players also think it's going to be easy. And they came out and they played a horrible third period. You get going with the first goal. The first goal for Calgary came only 2:02 into the third, and this is an absolute defensive screw-up by Isaac Rosén. I have to say on this one, it is Rosén, because what you have here essentially are 3 Flames are going to the net. Jonathan Huberdeau, who has the puck, Coronado, who's in the middle, and Morgan Frost, who's on the other wing. And what ends up happening is both Owen Power and Isak Rosén end up taking Coronado, and nobody takes Morgan Frost. The other reason this is able to happen is because Jacob Bryson was incredibly deep on this play. So Isak Rosén is playing as a defenseman, which is certainly not where you ever want to see him. Now, I don't know exactly what Rosén saw. Maybe he thought Bryson was going to get back and take Frost, but it's absolutely his responsibility. Power is on Coronado, and he does a good job of shutting down Coronado. The problem is Rosén is also there. Nobody's covering Frost. Huberdeau is able to get a pass across, and Frost is able to beat Colten Ellis. This one's not on Colten Ellis. This is just a defensive screw-up. Also, if you're Ryan McLeod, you get beat way too easily on that one by Huberdeau, but you're in a chase position, but you are able to get back towards him. You got to get your stick in, or you got to grab him or something. Even if you take a penalty, it's better than letting him go that easily to the net. In any event, it ends up being a Flames goal, and they take a 3-2 lead, and at that point, the Sabres really dropped from there. So this period, the shots going into this period were 21 in favor of Calgary, 17 in favor of Buffalo. From this next goal, the Sabres have about 20 shots. When this next goal scored, the Sabres have 20 shots, and I believe Calgary had something in the neighborhood of 23 shots. From this next goal, which will be the 4th goal, the Sabres would not get another shot over the next 2 minutes, but they would give up 2 goals. So, 7:34 gone in the period. This is a play that the goal itself is a little bit of bad luck, but I don't understand why the Sabres cannot clear this zone beforehand. But the one common in all of this is Conor Timmins. So Conor Timmins, I believe, has 3 chances to get this puck out of the zone. The first is he gets the puck from Bowan Byram behind the net, and he tries to get it up to Tuck, and then Tuck loses the puck. And then the puck gets thrown down. Timmins whiffs at it, and it is pushed forward. And then Timmins gets another shot at it as the puck leaks back over to the boards, where Anderson for Calgary takes a heavy shot, a heavy one-time slap shot. It goes off Bowan Byram and onto the stick of Backlund, who puts it in the back of the net to make it 4-2. And I also have to say here, if you are the defenseman, if you are Timmins or Byram, you have to take some of this away physically. I mean, you have 2 guys in the slot unimpeded. Nobody's touching them. Byram and Timmins are just looking around for the puck. Tuck is there, but he's not doing anything. This is a really just disgraceful goal defensively. And I think every single player on the ice, with the exception of Doan, probably is guilty of a screw-up here, because Tuck and Thompson don't connect to get the puck out of the zone initially. And then from there, the Sabres are just not able to get control. Just an ugly goal for the whole unit there. Ellis, again, you can't really blame too much. It was a shot that went off Byram. There's no way he could track it. And when that deflection off of Byram went to Backlund, it's a pretty easy goal, because Ellis had already gone down to try to find it. So score 4-2 in favor of Calgary, and then 2 minutes later, Farabee would get yet another goal. And this time, it's because, Tage Thompson turns the puck over in the offensive zone. So if you're the Sabres, you're pressing at this point, because you really need to get a goal. So Timmins was deep. Timmins was pinching to get the puck around to Thompson. Timmins was trying to get back to his position while Doan was crashing. Now, Timmins didn't exactly hustle to get back deep, because he was kind of hunting with Doan. They're kind of switching, watching the puck a little bit. But when Thompson turns the puck over, Byram and Timmins are both so slow to get back, and Farabee is off to the races in the middle. And this is a tremendously weighted pass from Anderson from the Flames. So they turn Tage Thompson over. This Kadri. Kadri's able to get it to Anderson. Anderson flips it up towards center ice. Beautifully weighted pass. Farabee is off to the races, splits a slow-moving Timmins and Byram, and it's a breakaway, and he makes no mistake, putting it past Colten Ellis to give Calgary the 5-2 lead. Again, if you're Thompson, you got to try to tie that puck up a little better. Don't let them get an easy play out to center. It's a tremendous pass by Anderson. But if you're Timmins and Byram, you have got to be more responsible in looking at this guy. 100% Farabee. This is Timmins' man. I mean, at the start of this play, Timmins and Farabee are both in the corner together. That's who Timmins beat on the pinch to get the puck around to Thompson. And you're telling me that then Farabee's able to break away with it? Why? Timmins should be the guy back. So this was not a good game for Connor Timmins. He has a lot of fingerprints on this one. He's been very good at times this year. He's been willing to go down and block shots, but he was exposed, as was Bowan Byram in this game tonight. So the final embarrassment would come with 17:49 to go. This game's already lost at this point. Coronado would get probably the luckiest goal you will ever see. He fields this puck from Frost, and then he's able to he just tries to hit it on net. He doesn't get it on net. It goes off the back wall, deflects over everybody, comes back on the other side of the net. Now Dunn is back there. Dunn is trying to swipe it out mid-air, but he's not able to get to it. The puck lands on kind of the back of Colten Ellis's pad or skate, and he just pushes it into the back of the net. So Coronado got credit for the goal. Huberdeau and Frost actually got assists, but this is pretty much an own goal between Dunn and Ellis, not communicating, not knowing who has the puck, and not knowing enough of where the puck is. So a final embarrassment to finish off this game. The Flames would take it 6-2. 4 goals in the third period, 2 goals in the first period. The Sabres really only showed up for 20 minutes tonight. Shots were 14-13 in favor of Calgary in the third, but in that key time when the Flames were scoring most of their goals, the Sabres had not much to do with this game. So a lot of those shots came in garbage time after the game was already decided, so we're not going to look too fondly at the fact that the Sabres put up 30 shots tonight because they were out of the game when they were putting a lot of those shots up. Macro statistics here. Flames had 35 shots to the Sabres 30. The Flames won the face-off category. What else is new? 53% to 46%. The Sabres were 0 for 3 on the power play. The Flames were 0 for 1 on their power play. Hits were even, 17 apiece. The Sabres did block 25 shots to the Flames 16, but they also turned the puck over 17 times to the Flames 12. Takeaways were 4-3 in favor of Calgary. So just a terrible performance. Just an absolutely... I agree with what they said in the post-game press conference. I mean, Lindy Ruff said, I think some of our guys wanted it easy. It wasn't going to be easy tonight. I don't think we respected them enough. They didn't keep it simple, and I could see that also. They were not bringing the puck up through the neutral zone with support. They were doing a lot of quick slap passes. There was one on that first power play where the puck came to Tage Thompson. He just kind of smacked the puck in through the zone. No attempt to set up, just thinking, we're just going to throw the puck forward, and because they're so bad, we're going to get chances and opportunities. You have to work to get those chances and opportunities. Now, to Tage Thompson's credit, he did talk in the post-game press conference about how they did not work hard enough to get this game and how they were really easy to play against in this game. So he's saying the right things. Certainly he's saying the right things. But, he also had a pretty bad turnover that led to a goal. He also was not all over the place on the ice tonight. It was not Rage Thompson, even though he got a goal. It was just Tage tonight. So, obviously a disappointing performance, and there's a lot of fingers you could point, a lot of people you could point to. We got to start with Bowan Byram and Connor Timmins. They were absolutely atrocious on the ice tonight. They finished with a -3, which is very deserved. They were out there for, I believe, 3 of the goals that went against the Sabres. Look, I'm all for them. I appreciate what Connor Timmins does as far as blocking. He had 5 block shots tonight, but his abilities with the puck are so limited in terms of moving the puck or getting the puck out. He does not ever seem to know who to play it to, and tonight they just were not keeping it simple. I think sometimes Bowan Byram tries to do way too much above his skill set, and I think he is a guy who needs to simplify things a lot. A really interesting forward deployment tonight as well, as Tage Thompson did not get out there for 20 minutes tonight. He was only out there 19:27, but then you have Peyton Krebs, who was out there for 18 minutes tonight. I'm not exactly sure what they were hoping to accomplish with that particular distribution. Maybe at the end, Ruff is frustrated. Ruff does do some very strange combinations and distributions, and he does panic a lot in games, it seems, just trying to throw whatever he can out there. He puts the lines through a blender, I think, way too easily. I think if he just stick with his guns, sometimes he'd get better results. But that's him. I mean, that's his style. You don't like it? Well, get a new coach, which that might not be the worst thing in the world for the Sabres, because a coach who cannot motivate his team to play in these games is not a coach that is going to go very far in the modern day NHL. So you can't, especially on a team like this where there's no veterans who are going to hold guys accountable for performances like this, right? You got to have your veterans who are going to give guys hell in the locker room when they come out and they're making plays like that. This was a game which, against a bad team versus a bad team, the team that keeps it simple is usually going to win. And the Flames kept it simple, and they ended up with 6 goals. The Sabres tried to overcomplicate things and do things that are above their station, and they ended up with 2 goals and an embarrassing loss. So just ugly across the board. Maybe the one bright spot I will say is Mattias Samuelsson, and this whole year he's been a bright spot. He had a goal and an assist, 2 points tonight. He was second on the team in ice time, and it finished with 3 shots and 2 blocks. Mattias Samuelsson, he's been a major bright spot this year. Hopefully he keeps scoring, because I like being able to say known Stiper Mattias Samuelsson every time. Dahlin, unfortunately, was back to his turnover ways. He had 4 turnovers tonight, 4 giveaways tonight. But he did block 4 shots. He had 3 shots on goal. I wasn't unhappy with his contribution. I think he's looked better offensively since he came back, but tonight too loose with the puck. Again, trying to do too much, trying to do too many things. It's not going to be easy. You have to pay the price, and you have to be willing to keep things simple in order to win these games. It's just you're not good enough to do the fancy stuff, so just keep it simple. Kozak, Dunn, and Malenstein together had 11 of the 17 hits tonight. There's not enough physical presence outside of those 3 guys up and down the lines. The Sabres are too easy to play against. Greenway only had 1 hit tonight. He has got to get more involved physically. He has not been involved physically very much this year. Also, he's just simply really slow right now. He's not a dynamic enough player. If he's not going to be physical, his only real contribution to the team is on the penalty kill, which I think we have good enough. We were doing quite fine we were doing very well on the penalty kill without him. If he's not going to contribute a bit more physically, then his value is not really there. He had no shots tonight, just a hit, a giveaway, and a block. A very unimpactful night from Jordan Greenway. You got to see more there. He was mic'd up tonight, though, so there was that. Maybe he was a little camera shy. Jack Quinn had 3 shots, but really, did you feel his impact on that game at all? No, they barely called his name. Josh Doan is a little bit cold right now. He had 3 shots, but again, you didn't see too much of him out there. McLeod was there, but only 3 shots tonight as well. Although McLeod did have a positive night in the faceoff circle. He was 10 for 18. Thompson also 6 for 11. So some of the guys are getting a bit better at the faceoff side. Alex Tuck was also quite quiet tonight. Only 2 shots and 2 hits overall. So just again, the stars were not out. And as a general rule, this team could not put consistent shifts together. There was not a lot of dumping and going hard on the forecheck, which is how we got to Edmonton and how we got back against Detroit. There was a lot of long passes, trying to hit that one-off opportunity. When we did get puck possession in zone time in the second period, we scored 2 goals. But the rest of the time, long passes, try to get the easy way out. Don't make yourselves work exceptionally hard. Just an all-around disappointing performance by the Sabres. And again, I think it goes back to mindset. I agree with what Lindy Ruff said. They thought this game was going to be easy. They wanted it to be easy. They wanted to go out and just have a romp. That's what they thought it was going to be. And so they weren't prepared mentally when the Flames are like, no, we're not going to let you just run all over us. And that's really an indictment to this, not just this coaching, not just the players, but the coaching staff as well, because this keeps happening. You know, one night, one bad night, you can blame the players. But if it is a continued systematic thing when they get in this situation, then it is a coaching problem at that point, because you weren't able to reset the mentality. I can forgive the one bad game against St. Louis because maybe the players are too big for their britches at that point. But I can't forgive this because it already happened. So there's no reason this should happen. All you have to do as a coach is say, remember St. Louis. We were in this situation before. Do you remember? You guys decided you didn't want to play that night. So if you want to win this game, you got to play and keep it simple. I just think that that's a failure of the coaching staff right there, and a failure of the leadership on this team as well. And the guys who are leaders on this team, so that's really Rasmus Dahlin and a few other A's who rotate, they have to do a better job of stepping up and making sure that guys are accountable in these situations. But there is nobody on this team who is really able to do that, and that's a problem. And that's something that once we tear this thing down, we're going to have to look at bringing in straight away to establish that culture. And I don't care if no veterans want to be here. You can find guys who will play hockey, even if they're the very end of their rope. You'll be able to bring some guys in who are veterans, who have had experience. But you got to be very careful with your veteran young person mix. You got to make sure that these are the right guys for each other. There's a lot about this team that is just disjointed, and honestly, I'm starting to agree. It just looks like a collection of individuals. A team in a game like this would perform very well. A bunch of stat hunters would give this performance. Everybody's trying to be the first man up. Everybody's trying to be the guy who receives the pass. A bunch of guys who are hunting for where they're going to work next year, this is the performance they give. A team would not give this performance. So I think it says a lot about where our guys' mind are at. There have been some comments in here. There were comments yesterday saying that this game would tell us a lot about this team. Yeah, I think it has. And I think we know now where we are. And I think we know now what the expectations are. It's fitting that this was the 20th game of the year. It's fitting that this was the quarter pole. Because now a quarter of the way into the season, we know that it's probably not going to be happening this year. I hate to be so negative, but this game is just, I think, the dagger for us in a lot of respects. Sure, we could get back into it, but I mean, I don't think we're going to be able to beat Chicago and beat Carolina. If we do that, we'll have another conversation then. But until we beat both of those teams, my expectations are back down to being in the basement, basically. Especially because the road schedule coming up is so incredibly challenging, and there's so many road games on the horizon. I don't see how this team is able to work its way back, given how we've squandered our opportunities on home ice in the early part of this season. So not the happiest outlook, I know, but, that's where we are. So now we still have a few games here before I think we end up really coming to terms with the fact that this is going to be probably a complete teardown. But I will say, if this becomes a complete teardown, everybody has to go. All of the players with value, all of the coaches, the general manager, anyone involved in player acquisition in the front office, everyone has to go. This has to be a total reset one more time. And hopefully we can get some guys in here who are going to be willing to take part. Again, the one person we can't get rid of is probably the guy who is most responsible for all of it, and the owner. But we got to hope that this time maybe the league will step in, tell him that he has to appoint a head of hockey operations. I don't know. Tell him he has to distance himself from it, because that's the only way that he's going to have to take a step back. That's the only way that we're going to get Pegula to take a step back, is if the league comes in and says, you have to step back. You are destroying this franchise. But I don't know if the league cares that much. So we'll see where we are moving forward. But this was a massive disappointment. I don't even know if I'm encapsulating my feeling. This just felt more like a rant than anything else tonight. Around the division, there was only one other game in the division last night. The Ducks beat the Bruins 4-3. And so that leaves the Atlantic Division as follows. Buffalo is now firmly entrenched in last place, 18 points through 20 games. Toronto has 20 points through 20 games as they were idle. Florida, 21 points through 19 games, is in 6th place. Ottawa, 22 points through 19 games, is in 5th place. Tampa Bay, 22 points through 19 games, is in 4th place. Montreal, 23 points through 19 games, is in 3rd place. Boston, 24 points through 22 games, is in 2nd place, but through point percentage, they have now fallen all the way down to 6th place. And then Detroit is in 1st place, 25 points through 20 games. If the Sabres had managed to win this game, they would be in a tie with Toronto for 7th, and they would be sitting only 3 points out of 3rd place. But because they lost, they're 5 points out of 3rd place, and Toronto and Montreal, sitting there in 3rd place, has a game in hand, so it's really 5 points. So, yeah, this was a bad one. And there's really no recourse to go from here except to just pack up and head to the next one. But I think as far as a fan base, I think the expectations are now set. And it's kind of just hoping that it's going to get bad enough that it does lead to changes. I'm never going to root for the team to lose. I'm always, every time, going to try to come out as positive as I can and hope for a win. But for the long-term health of this franchise, I think the house has to be cleaned at some point. Unless they're able to go on a miraculous run here, I think we got to think about making some tough decisions here, unless they can turn it around by the end of this month. So it sure doesn't seem like they're going to do it, but until we are completely gone, I'm going to try to keep the positive energy going with each game. But tonight, the negativity has gotten to me because I'm sick of this. We're all sick of this. But we'll wake up tomorrow and the sun will come out. It'll be another day, and we'll all be back cheering for the Sabres one more time. So, that's all I've got from this one. What did you think about it? What do you think? Where do you think? Where do you think we should go from here? Is it time to pull the trigger on this full rebuild, or do we have to let them continue to shoot themselves in the foot for a few more months? Again, I think Kevin Adams is going to be very tough to get him to trade people off because he's, I think, trying to save his job at this point. But at some point, you're going to have to step in and say, if we're going to rebuild, we got to start moving people and getting talent in here. I think you want to use this season as far as the goaltending situation to try to figure out who your number one is going to be next year. And you still got to figure out in Rochester if Devon Levi is going to have a space in that picture anyway. There's still going to be a lot to figure out and play for this season. But I think the focus eventually is going to shift to maybe tearing this thing down at some point. Hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully they come out the next 2 games and play great and win 2 games, and we're talking about winning 4 out of 5. But as of now, it feels like we're just a step away from free fall with 2 very good teams coming in. The Blackhawks are playing very well this year, and obviously Carolina is currently the second best team in the Eastern Conference and the third best team in the league in terms of point percentage. So that's not a game that we can count on taking either. So where do you guys think we should go from here? What's the next step? When do we start moving pieces? Who do we start moving? Please give me your thoughts down below. We'll talk about it. But thank you all for watching. Thank you all for bearing with me. We'll get through this. One day, this is going to be a good hockey team, and we're going to have more joy than sorrow. But right now, it's a whole lot of sorrow on top of sorrow. So it's tough to be a Sabres fan, but hey, if you want more Sabres hockey content, please subscribe to the channel, and we will all find a way to get through this suffering together. I got to say it because I always say it, but as always, somehow, go Sabres. Bye-bye.